just want to know, how long have you been putting in time for other people? I know as a mother, a wife, a businesswoman, there's something that you're doing on a constant autopilot that you've been doing for other people. And so I'm just letting you know, sis, that I recognize what that is. It means that you have not placed any time into developing yourself now that the children have moved on. Now, this is a re-nesting period that I talk about because it's a real thing. If you don't realize that now is a time for you to discover some of the things that you may want to do in your, as we're looking at empty nest syndrome, it is the emotional experience many parents, especially mothers, go through when their children leave home. And it says that it's not a clinical diagnosis, but a real and valid emotional transition that can bring feelings of, one of the feelings that it happens is a loss of identity. And after years of being a caregiver, it can be difficult to rediscover who you are outside of motherhood. Now, there's many more, but I want to look at this in particular when we're talking about a loss of identity. The part of it that's, well, who am I and what do I do with all of this time that is on my hands? And why do I feel so guilty about it? Why do I feel guilty about it when it comes to putting that time in for myself? It's something that happens to us that we feel a sense of guilt about putting time into ourselves because, again, that time that you have used and utilized all of this time in your life was on someone else. And so now you're left with feeling shame and feeling that it's selfish to start looking at you again because now you have to build yourself as you're rediscovering who you are. It's taking a long time to get to this place now because, again, it's so much time that you're not necessarily knowing what to do with it. Because all of the while you've been hearing the little ones needing you. Mama, mama, mama. That has been your entire existence. And once again, it's one of the best things that could ever happen. You're the best thing. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Truly, children. At some point in time, the children want to see their mama happy. Because again, they don't know that mama has sacrificed a great deal for them to be here, to make sure that they have everything that they need. And one of the best can happen for the children to show you that they appreciate you is developed, is to be kind, is to be responsible, respectable. And that's how you know that you've done a good job and a great job, giving them all of the tools that they need to make it in this world. As my sister and I talk about all the time, not just raising a son, you're raising someone else's husband. You're not just raising a son, you're raising someone else's father. And so they have to grow up and be. And for the young ladies, you're not just raising a daughter, you're raising someone else's wife. You're not just raising a daughter, you're raising perhaps one day if she wants to be a mother. And so it's the responsibility. This is not just a lightweight role when it comes to being a mother. I can talk all day long on what that is. It's sacrifice. It is something that you do because of the love that you have for someone else. And that you always, as my mother has taught me, self-preservation is the first law of the land. You're always going to look out for yourself each and every day that you rise and shine. But for many that are going around here on an empty cup, you have nothing else to give for yourself because, again, who are you when it comes to putting yourself first? It's something that you haven't ever done in a long, long time. And I have heard many say that they don't know who they are outside of a motherhood. They've forgotten that little girl that to have fun, as I do here at the Zest for Life Social Club and Support Group. Yeah, we'll go outside and play and have some fun. That's one of the things that I enjoyed being a little child, going outside to play. And we already know the whole story around many children that don't get a chance to have that experience. As this new Michael is on the horizon, as it is, that he says that, has anyone seen my childhood? What a sad case for a child not to have a childhood. That's the best time of your life, as I can recall, the freedom, the fun, and the familiarity of it all. It just was one of those times that you just went outside to play. And the play you to be able to imagine and discover, playing in the dirt and the mud and building the sand castles there in California Beach. And it was just an easy time. You didn't have anything that you're concerned about, none of the adult concerns you weren't involved in as a child. And so for Michael Jackson, to say that as my childhood, he grew up being someone that was responsible for performing. He was the leader of the Jackson Five, the band, the group, the family business. And so he had the responsibility of being the lead singer. And so that was an enormous weight. I just finished having the conversation with my dad in the Zest for Living with Sweet Tea Morning Show, when we're talking about, should boys cry? What do you do to a boy when they say boys don't cry? And he says boys have feelings, men have feelings. And he says that when it comes to a woman trying to raise a man to be a boy to be a man, she can't do it because there's certain things that he as a father can teach his son the same way that a mother can teach her daughter. And so he says that she can teach him how to be responsible when it comes to cleaning his room and doing some of the duties around the house and being a good man and being respectful. But that essence of who he is has to come directly from, and even if some of the mothers that don't have the fathers in their life can find mentors. As Dad says, going to work is something that was instilled in him. And if it was something that he needed and wanted, his father taught him, you don't concern yourself about what it is that you want and you don't have. You go out and work and make sure that you have it. And so Dad, right to this day, is going to work each and every morning there in California. He goes to work each morning at 75. This is something that he does naturally, instinctively, and easily. And so we can live our lives how we want, that I am doing here in real time, rediscovering who I am once again, finding my way back home to me. And it's not been an easy road, because sometimes I do feel a little bit of guilt when it comes. I have all of this time just to devote to me, not just because, again, there's a balance to it all, even as having an adult child who's my best friend. And so, again, you have those moments to where you're losing yourself in the roles. And I have 5 signs you lost yourself in your roles and how to reclaim you is on my Stand Store for free. Take the assessment. It's available for you. And so another part of this emotional trend that it says loneliness and sadness. The ones busy home may feel too quiet, triggering a sense of isolation or longing. See, that time where the children are running around looking for mama, now it's quiet. As I've shared with you, former First Lady Michelle Obama and the former President Barack Obama are now going through the nesting period, re-nesting, and empty nest syndrome because of Sasha and Malik have moved on. Malia. And so it's something that to be able to find your way back home to yourself. Who are you now? That you've accomplished one of the biggest roles of your life. And this is something that you will be for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Forever. Forever, ever, ever. And so it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it isn't. It's just that we have to be able to give ourselves space and room to develop ourselves once again. Because that's a long route, a long journey. Certain that someone else has everything that they need, to make certain that you're having everything that you need, and to also balance the relationship with your partner. It's a juggling act. And we manage to do it all easily. But in those quiet moments, sometimes we may feel as if, how in the world am I all of this? What do I do now? There may be moments you question yourself and your abilities. There may be moments where you feel as if you cannot handle it all. And you shut down and you shut people out. And you isolate yourself with that loneliness. And that's another part of it. You isolate yourself from just the idea of the sadness that's overtaking you. Because the children have moved on and you don't have any identity in terms of who you are and the value that you have now. You don't feel any sense of belonging. You don't feel any sense of who needs me. And without that feeling, you don't feel as if life has any meaning in it. because you're feeling that way. And then also the uncertainty about the future. Without daily parenting duties, some may struggle with what's next in their personal journey. See, that parenting duty that keeps you going is just like you going on a job that you know what to do when you go clock in. And that was one of the things that happens on a 9 to 5. You go in there, you have your cubicle for where I was working, and you plug in with set as a call center agent that I worked in, selling dish. And so I knew exactly what to do when I went into work. I plugged in, logged in, knew my codes and how to get on the computer and wait a call. And so this was a structure that I knew and implemented because of the structure that was already provided for me. And so the uncertainty that of the mothers and parents are feeling, because now the parenting duties are not necessarily all there. How do you relieve from that enormous amount of responsibility that you carried for the majority of your life and you still will carry? But it's an attachment area of your life, as they say, the released umbilical cord, to let it grow up. And that hovering over them as a helicopter parent, as an enabler, is causing you to feel a certain sense of someone needing you, a place to where you fit into their life. And now they're struggling to figure out, well, if mom is going to be with me all the time, then I don't have to do anything. It kind of stunts their development, kind of growth, to where they're always going to be dependent upon you, because again, you're smothering them and mothering them. And you may not even know that you're doing that. But they have to grow up, especially for the sons, to be their own man. How often are you to be there handling everything for them? Because the woman that they get in lives is not necessarily going to be able to handle the things that you do as a mother. Because again, you're going to have strife when it comes to him having a woman in his life, person in his life that he values. Because you cannot do the same things that a wife will do, even though he's your son. You cannot give the kind of love that a wife will give a husband, even though that husband is your son. And you cause him to have this kind of feeling in his mind that he has to constantly be there for mama. And he wants to be there for his mother. Of course, he loves his mother. But then there's a battle that goes along within him. In terms of, you hear these conversations about, should the wife sit in the front seat of the car or sit in the back? There's all kinds of things that comes up. I noticed that Murphy was at some kind of an event. I believe that he was being honored, and his wife sat aside him, and the mother sat behind him, but you could the disgrace that the mother had, that she didn't like that position. How long do you want a son to carry you as a mother? He has his own life now. And for many, because I don't have a son, I have a daughter, but for many that I'm seeing, that it's a really big deal for the mother to make certain that the son puts her as number one. I have heard some women say that the mother was in competition with her as the man of her life. It's something for her that the mother wanted to. And the mother had her own man. It's one of those things that they're pulling Oedipus Rex syndrome, where they have this sense of, it's not necessarily sexual as it was, Oedipus complex, to where it's something that he feels as if he is in love with the mother because of the relationship that he has with the father, that he believes that the father was not in his life well enough and good enough, that the son wants to step in and try to save the mother from her own anguish or her own loneliness it is that she's feeling. But you have to realize that that mother is a woman, and that whatever that woman needs in her life, the son cannot give her. Okay, he cannot replace whatever the mother needs. As we saw in the movie Precious, which was a daughter that the mother was wanting to say, who's gonna love me if you don't take your behind somewhere and leave that girl alone and find you something in your life to do? As she was abusing her daughter. In fact, it was an emotional abuse that she did, an incest, emotional incest that she was doing to her daughter, because she was blaming her daughter for her husband having sex with her, got her pregnant. And whatever the mother was feeling inadequate about herself, that she couldn't please her own man, it was really treacherous movie that Monique won an Oscar for her performance. But some of those things that you can do is that you can hold on to a child for so long that you can ruin them. And that's why some of the children, they grow up to be adults and they have childhood trauma that they're bringing, whether it's abandonment, whether it's sexual abuse, trauma, all kinds of things that they're bringing into the new relationship that they're trying to have for themselves because something has been unresolved, as many hasn't received the love from their mother. There's a great deal of things that are damaging us as a community, as a culture, and there's something that we have to do about it when it comes in our midst. We can recognize what it is and we can do something about it. At no point in time do you shame a person for something that they have gone through that they may not even be aware of, because again, they have to recognize where they're from. And do you know what that feels like when you recognize that it was from your mother? Do you know what that feels like when you recognize that it came from your father? Because again, these are people that are doing the very best that they can, and they have titles that perhaps they haven't been able to fulfill wholeheartedly. They didn't know anything about it. It reminds me of the movie with James Brown and Viola Davis's character said, I didn't know nothing about being nobody's mama. And so you have these particular roles that you are given. But do you know how to perform them? It may not be something that you know how to do because you had never done it before. And so the enormous amount of weight that is placed upon us to get it right, I don't want to make a mistake because this is someone that is dependent on me. I have what I'm doing. And that instinct when the child is first born, that you learn to cuddle and protect them. And so something happens along the way that you feel an enormous amount of responsibility, that something happens out of your control. And it makes you feel guilty about whatever it is that has happened, that you perhaps want to protect your child. And you take the weight of that and the responsibility of that. And you feel that you failed. At one particular time when my daughter fell out of that, it was something that I could have prevented. And she tells me, Mom, I'm okay. She fall all the time. But it's some of those things that replays in your mind about some of the things that you could do or you could have done better. Carry that as a responsibility that you place upon yourself, but just to know that you do the very best that you can, because again, you are attempting, at that time, I was attempting to make something of myself, and it wasn't something that I did on purpose. It was something that happened instantly, and she fell out of the bed. And so this is another part of it. Guilt for feeling lost. Some women believe that they should feel excited or proud, yet secretly battle grief or purposelessness when the children are moving away and going to college or moving out on their own. And now this is the re-nesting, empty nest period where you just don't feel excited. There's a sense of purposelessness. You don't have any worth about what do you do now with all of the time that you have on your hand. And so as time went on, of course, our daughter soars in all of the areas of her life, and I could see that she's well, and it makes me feel good to know that whatever it is that she needs here at this hour and at this day and time, that I'm here for her. All lives, as I was in my late 40s when my mother transitioned, passed away, that she was still in my life. It's something that is going to be there forever. You always need your mother in some sense, into advice, encouragement, the unconditional love, and your father, the strength to know that they're there for you, supporting you. And so we are always children, as I hear some of the mothers say, that regardless of how old that the children get, they'll always be their babies. And some of the daughters are struggling for the mother to understand, do you not see adult? And so it's some of those things that you can see them as an adult, but you know they're always going to be your babies. And so that's something that happens. And so that sense of purposelessness, seeking to find an existence for yourself again. What do I do now with all of this time that I have on my hand? What is my purpose in life as I am rediscovering all of that for myself? And it's something that I will share with others, but I have to first put my hands in it to know that I can do it and feel good about it. That's the courage that I talked to you all about the other day. And so this phase is also an opportunity for rebirth, chance to rediscover passions, reclaim personal joy, and build a life that feels fulfilling on your own terms. And so that's where I am at this point in time. And so this is your time that you poured into others. Now it's time to pour into you. That's the time that you're in right now. And here's some journaling prompts that you can do as you're looking at the rebirth. Acknowledging emotions. What emotions am I experiencing as I navigate this transition? You can do that as a journaling prompt. What emotions am I experiencing as I navigate this transition? And how have I been suppressing or dismissing my own needs while focusing on others? How have I been suppressing or dismissing my own needs while focusing on others? And this is a part of releasing guilt and embracing self-prioritization. What beliefs have I carried about self-sacrifice versus self-care? What beliefs have I carried about self-sacrifice versus self-care? And how can I give myself to prioritize my joy without guilt? How can I give myself permission to prioritize my joy without guilt? And there are a couple of more I'll give you. Rediscovering identity and purpose. Before becoming a mother, what were my passions, dreams, and interests? Before becoming a mother, what were my passions, dreams, and interests? And what hobbies or desires have I put on hold that I now have the freedom to explore? What hobbies or desires have I put on hold that I now have the freedom to explore? These are some of the things that we can look at in the Lady Academy workshop as we go deep within to rediscover who we are as a person. As you were a woman before you became a mother, you were a woman before you became a wife, you were a woman in your own world, and all of the roles that have come upon you are now in your life. And so this is the time that we can do this together when it comes to the Lady Academy workshop. Go ahead and register. The wait list there you can do in my stand store, and also look at the 5 signs that you've lost yourself in your roles and how to reclaim you. This is a journey, a lifelong journey of finding our way back home to ourselves. Do this together if you take the time to want to discover and rediscover who you are at your core. And there's some things that you can do wholeheartedly and know that you're not alone in this journey. I'm here with you and here for you. You are not alone. I am here with you. And though we're far apart, you're always in my heart. And so I have a concern for us as women, concern for us as sisters, concern for us as friends, that we can do this together and be supportive to one another. Because I am a sister in real life. I have 2 sisters. I am a sister in real life. They call me Sister Millhouse or Sister Latanja there in church. And I am a sister when it comes to our rights as a people. And so there's so much of that that is a part of who I am. And so if you'd like to be a part of this journey, there's a great deal of things that I have available. But first of all, I want you to know that you were not put on this earth endlessly to pour into others on a day-to-day basis on an empty cup. No, it's your time now. So give some grace today and have a good day on purpose.